Yes, welcome to the No State Project live for this Wednesday. It is October 23rd, 2019. Not doing the episode numbers, just going with the date to make it easier. And it's with the Saturday show doesn't have that since I started that way before I started doing this Wednesday stream. So it is October 23rd, 2019. Glad to be with you here in the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. People start filing in. I do have to always extend my appreciation for the continued support of the No State Project. I do appreciate that. If you'd like to be able to help support the show, it is appreciated. It's at markstevens.cells.com, and that's SELZ cells, markstevens.cells.com, and also markstevens.net, where you can get Government Indicted, which has a whole explicit model that has been proven time and time again to be effective at helping us defend against these baseless charges from those people who call themselves the government, which are just men and women forcing us to give the money. Very important fact that underlies really everything that we do here, or everything I do here at the No State Project. So, yeah, I appreciate everyone starting to file in here today. I know it's a little early yet in the show, but it's not going to be as long a show. I do have to start off with an apology because I will not be able to take callers today. It was kind of throwing me. It was kind of throwing me. I had to figure out what the hell was going on because nothing really changes during the week since I'm not traveling to California like I was. I'm not boxing up my computer and having to reconnect everything. So I went through, did some troubleshooting because there was absolutely no audio whatsoever from my caller line, and so I had to figure out what the hell was going on. So I checked all the channels, I checked the cables, and even though it's typically the Windows machine that gives me fits, that's not the problem this time. Because the Windows machine, because of the drivers or whatever it is, I can't use the same computer to run my caller line through. And I'm hoping that on Saturday I'm using Linux and for everything, and I got everything straightened out, and I can just use the one computer to get everything done here on the show. But because Windows sucks, I have to use the other computer. And unfortunately, after so many years, it turns out the jack, the little 1/8 inch whatever jack that I plug my caller line into, so I have the callers coming in on that computer and the audio comes into the mixer, and then you guys get to hear that. The jack it's like a $2 hooker apparently, and I'm pretty sure the cost of replacing that jack far exceeds the value of the computer, even when I bought it. So I do apologize for that. I am not going to be able to take callers today, but I will do everything that I can in the next few days to make sure that I can run everything on the one, because that's on the Mac. You can run it the whole damn thing, callers, everything. Even when I was live on LRN, I could do everything on the same computer. But Windows doesn't allow you to do that. So hopefully we get it straightened out with Linux for the big show on Saturday. So I apologize. Anybody and I was expecting calls today, so keep that, I know that sucks. So just hold off. I promise we have more time on a Saturday show anyway. So we'll have to connect on the Saturday show. So I was expecting like Chris from California. So we'll do it on Saturday. We'll get it straightened out, and we'll go to town on Saturday. So I got some good news that I got to report before I start getting into the due process violations. Little bit of background so you understand just why I believe this is significant, and why it's important, and why I think it's good news. It has to do with the IRS. Now, I've said this is Captain Obvious here. The earlier you start defending against the attack, the better your chances are of getting the attack dropped. Not breaking any new ground there. You never want to ignore that. So just like you never talk to the police, and we cover this in another show, it always bears repeating. You never talk to the police, and you never blow off IRS letters. Bad news. See, we're not talking about these people that call up and claim. I think the new one is they're calling and from not the IRS, but the Social Security Administration, that your Social Security number has been suspended and there's a warrant for your arrest. So that's a funny one. We're talking about actual IRS form letters that they send you, and it is really in our best interest and a lot more effective overall to address the very first form letter. So what we did, I was working with a number of people, and we just got this a little bit different this time. What I always suggest doing, what I always want to do is I want to get a record. I want to get my facts together. I want to make sure that whatever claim I'm going to make, unlike the IRS or the local prosecutor in traffic court, we want to make sure that we have our facts, that if we have an argument because we object and disagree with the legal claims the IRS is making, we want to make sure that we have facts to back it up. And usually what we're able to do is get the facts that we're talking about are the statements from the agents themselves. So yesterday, I spoke to an IRS agent, and even though she was making legal claims against a friend that I was working with, when asked if she could prove that was true, if there were any facts in the computer before her that would support that, she said, "I'm not going to answer that question. I can't answer that." And then she said, "Well, I'm not making these legal claims." But you just got on the phone with us after a 7-minute hold, and you said, "No, he is liable." Well, if someone's liable to pay taxes, I hate to break the news to you, but you're making a legal determination. That's not a statement of fact, no matter how much they want you to believe that's a statement of fact. It is not. It is a legal conclusion. Yeah, there's supposed to be facts that's based that could go with it, but it's still a legal conclusion. You're applying the law to a certain set of facts, legal determination or legal conclusion. Okay, to me, they're the same damn thing. I don't give a damn where so only judges can make legal conclusions. Please. If you're making a claim based on the law, it's a legal claim, it's a legal determination, it's a legal conclusion. I'm not going to split that hair. Only judges. I've even had tax agents. Well, I'm not a judge. I can't make that determination. You just did. You just said that there was a liability. And she was also trying to make this claim yesterday that about the difference between an obligation and a liability. And a requirement. Yeah. This is a woman who just told me she can't answer any questions regarding the facts supporting her legal claim. And she's going to tell me that there's a difference between a requirement, an obligation, and a liability. Okay. However you want to do it. So anyway, what we're doing is taking their admissions. And when we do follow up in writing, we have our facts that lead to our conclusion that the IRS can't support their claim. Okay, so if they start screaming frivolous, we've covered this already. What part of the argument is frivolous? Is it the facts? Am I quoting you wrong? Did I get your badge number wrong? No. Frivolous is totally lacking in merit and brought in bad faith. So if I'm using their own admissions against them and my conclusion is drawn directly from that, am I wrong? Oh, you disagree with my argument. So my argument is that you can't support with any evidence your legal conclusion, or your legal determination. Are you saying that you can? So the agent before was just lying? Were they just not qualified? We should always be asking these questions. Never take what they say at face value, because there's usually a lot more going on here. Whoa. So we use that to then follow up in writing. And we may have to make another phone call. But what we're looking for, the important thing here, and I did the same thing yesterday, they never have the right department. They always have to send you, you're always going to another department. They don't know. They don't even look. Like I mentioned before, we've spoke to 4 agents and had 4 different departments that this account was allegedly in. And I get a new one yesterday. She says it's not even assigned to a department. There's no specific department. That's new to me. So anyway, what I'm getting to is we want to always ask, since they had their budget cut, since they don't even know what the right department is, the right department to handle this, while we are trying to get it resolved, put a stay of proceedings on it. Don't let it escalate. That's a key. If you can stop the computer process, there's a really good chance it's not going to be turned back on. Because it's just like traffic court. Well, why am I going to bother coming in here and listen to this guy ask me leading questions on cross-examination that actually go right to the heart of the arguments and the claims that I'm making, when I can go and I can discuss, I can fleece 50 other people that are just going to argue the merits. That's easy. I can always argue the merits. I can say you went through the stoplight. I can say you didn't give me the license fast enough. I can say that, but getting facts to support my determination that the laws apply. What the hell are you talking about? I got better things to do with my time. So usually what the process is, and this is a little kind of a wrinkle that recently is different. You get the 45-day letter, and 90% of the time, or most of the time, when you get the 45-day letter, which reads, we received your information, I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of it is, we received your correspondence, your information, and we need 45 days to fully investigate this, and there's nothing that you need to do at this time. Most of the time, you have a stay of proceedings, and it's not going to escalate while they're doing their little investigation. Well, recently we got a 60-day letter, which I just don't remember ever getting, which is, hey, great. Take 60 months, take 6 years. I don't care. Just leave me alone. And so what we got with someone in New York, of all places, instead of getting a series of 45-day letters or now a 60-day letter and then getting a 90-day letter, we got the 90-day letter. It's good. It's good. I'm a bit pleased, a little bit. So I'm not saying, and I can't say with any certainty right now, but based on my experience, if you get the 90-day letter, and you can usually get 3, 4, 5 of these things, if you get that letter and you've started the process right with that first form letter, you didn't blow it off, you didn't listen to this, I'm not contracting with you, this garbage, I'm not going to traverse and give them jurisdiction. All right, if you did it right and you got on the phone within those 30 days to challenge that crap, and you get your admissions, you get the fact that they can't support their opinion. They may have hung up on us or lied about what department was in, and now we've got our due process. We got a violation due process because it's in bad faith. Bad faith. And we always do. I got to remember what we always do when we put in that they, by their own admission, can't support their claim. That's our argument. We always want to put in for our statutory violation, where under 3705 of the Restructuring and Reform Act of 1998, we want an agent, if they disagree with us, if you think that my claim is wrong, my facts are wrong, my conclusion's wrong, whatever you disagree with, if you think I'm wrong, then damn it, assign an agent with direct contact information so that I don't have to go through the menu and get bounced around, all over from Ogden to Fresno to Austin, Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo, by the way, it told me point blank that it was policy not to comply with the law. I said, really? Well, isn't Section 3705 of the Restructuring Act, the 90, isn't that still current United States law? Yeah, but we don't follow that. It was the how does it, the large dollar unit is, they were the ones that told me that. So, big congratulations or in order, because it's still, I'm not saying it's a win yet. I'm not saying it's going to be tossed out, but I think we're a major step in that direction. So, that's what you want to do. That's what I do. And I think that's why I've had so much success getting these things tossed out. And I don't care if a critic says, well, it really had nothing to do with what Marc Stevens wrote. I actually had the franchise tax board. We had a few years thrown out in California, and I wanted it in writing. And it was just a knockdown. I mean, this was a fight. And we finally get the assessment tossed out, for the trash that it is. And I wanted it in writing. Now, it's a little different with the franchise tax board because you can actually speak to individual agents. I've done it. I got a lot of call of shames, because of that. They didn't want to give it to me in writing. And I said, well, we're not going to give you. You're just going to, we know you work with a bunch of other people here. We see how many POAs you have. We're not going to give you that in writing. I said, well, doesn't my client, don't they have any kind of right here, to not have to worry that you're going to financially destroy them? Or maybe if your computer spits something out that it shouldn't, that they're not economically destroyed, they don't lose their house, their job. They fought. They would not give it to me. Well, we kept on pressing them, and they finally gave it to us in writing that the assessment was tossed out for whatever years that it happened to be. But they took the time. Now, they'll tell you that they can't do anything but form letters. Okay, so they get a form letter and they just plug in the dates, but they can't put any actual text. They can't add to the text. But for me, what they did was they had to go out of their way to put in their letter that even though they are tossing this out for X amount of years for this much money, and that there's no evidence of an obligation, but it had nothing to do with my assistance. All right, we're dealing with 6-year-olds. Okay, fine. I don't care. I don't care. Because we know that they don't drop things for their good graces. They don't drop things unless they absolutely have to. And when you got the goods against them, that doesn't always mean they're going to, but thank goodness most of the time they still do. Thought they tossed it out, but they had to take that one last shot at me. Whatever. Whatever. So that's the thing. The only reason why it would even help somebody that I'm working with is just to show they did the right thing. But they don't care about precedent. They don't care about one particular case. They don't even care if the Supreme Court says they have to do it. They don't care. So it's like this whole thing that patriot sovereign type people have. Well, they're not going to give you a ruling because it's precedent and they don't want that being used. No. A trial court decision is absolutely not precedent at all. It doesn't matter how monumental the decision may be. It has no application to stare decisis. Zero. The only application it has is as res judicata for your case. That's it for that set of facts. Trial courts do not make precedent. So, and even if it was an appellate court, if they were so worried about somebody using it, all they have to do is say it's not for publication and nobody can use it. So that argument, like most of the Freeman arguments, hold no water. No water. No water at all. Speaking of, somebody did raise this issue with me this week, and I think it was important enough to address on the show. And so that's why I used the thumbnail about no due process. I love how somebody who talks about take the guns first, due process later, is now throwing out this ridiculous argument that he's being denied due process. The Donald Trump, because he doesn't get to question witnesses. He doesn't get to have his opportunity to defend himself in court. Really? Well, is this the same guy that's separating families? And how children can't get back to their parents? This is someone who loves due process. Just real quick, this is an investigation. He has not been, in a sense, indicted or impeached. That you don't get to confront witnesses during an investigation. If he's impeached, which hopefully this cretin is, then the trial at the Senate, he gets to cross-examine and witnesses and whatnot. But look, this is the same guy that who claims to be a law and order guy, and he's going to bring back the Constitution, who just actually said on national television that the emoluments clause is fake. It's like, everything I don't like. Fake news. It's fake news. Hey, please. One of these days, I think I actually want to do a show. So if anybody who watches the show, who follows what I talk about, if you actually support Donald Trump, I would love to maybe just not on an off day do a live stream, and just have people call in and make an argument as to why they support him and why he should be supported, and why he's because I'm at a loss here, because what happened today, sometimes what is that? What the hell does that mean? When someone says orange man bad, is that just a meme to just kind of shut down the argument? Okay, we know orange man bad. What does that mean, really? What someone just put in there, what the hell that is supposed to be conveying to me as an adult when you say orange man bad? Everything I get out of that is that you're just saying, okay, Mark, shut up. We don't care. Orange man bad. Someone put, you're talking about a serial liar, philanderer, a guy who's never paid his debts, who claimed to be law and order, to bring back the Constitution and all this, and you support. And then when you point out where he's lying, you just come back with orange man bad. I don't speak memes, so you're gonna have to. Oh, okay. So J-Back is saying we don't care. Sorry. Okay, well that's fine. A couple people don't. If that's what it means, orange man bad, we don't care. Okay, but what's interesting here, because it relates to court, is he is on record saying that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose a vote. That was actually used in court today in Manhattan, because his lawyers are saying that as president, he is absolutely immune from prosecution. So someone brought up that quote to his lawyers, and I wish I could have been there for that. And they're saying, are you saying that he could actually shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't be subject to prosecution because he's immune? And they said, yes. Wow. Wow. Yeah, guys, the phone lines, I can't take calls today, so you're stuck with me talking about Orange Man for just a moment. I think this is one of those times where, and it wasn't reported, it may actually have happened that Trump's lawyers, after arguing and making that point that he's absolutely immune from even shooting and murder, he's immune from murder. Maybe the judge said, okay, I've heard just about enough, and we're going to sanction you for a Rule 3.3 violation because, and Rule 3, you're just lying now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're trying to misrepresent reality. You can't just shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and be immune. You might be immune from civil prosecution, but not criminal. I mean, come on. It's almost no end to what judges will allow lawyers to get away with, especially if they are prosecutors. But Orange Man's lawyers saying he is criminally immune, absolutely criminally immune for murder. Yes, he could murder somebody and not be prosecuted. This is your ruling class and what they do to support it. But the issue I want to discuss is pretty important, because somebody, and I understand the frustration when you go to court. You're dealing with such dishonesty. You're talking about people that will actually argue that someone is immune from murder charges. Well, in a sense, he is, because he's guilty of murdering hundreds of thousands, or thousands of people in the Middle East by ordering such attacks. Just like Obama, just like George Bush, and just like Bill Clinton and Bush before him, that son of a bit who with Bill Barr, pardoned all those criminals in Iran-Contra. Reagan's guilty. All of them are guilty of it. So when it comes to mass murder, yeah, they're right. When it comes to mass murder done under the color of law, they are criminally immune. Because just like Obama, after all the war crimes committed, openly committed by George Bush, to a point where this guy was laughing, where are them weapons of mass destruction? They got to be under here somewhere. He's joking about it, joking about war crimes, and they don't prosecute him. So, yeah, in that sense, yes, if you're using the office to do what it's supposed to do, which is wage war and mass destruction, you can commit as many crimes as you want under that guise. But shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue, come on. It's just like Amber Geiger. Commit your crimes on the clock. Yeah, I know. Aaron, this guy, Aaron Dean, I think he's on the last show. He actually killed someone on the job and got charged right away. So maybe, like I said, a little hopeful things are getting a little better out there. All right, so let's look at this. So knowing how frustrating it is and how dishonest these people are, and J-Back is going through some of that. Government bad, 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 bad. I think you forgot one bad. Ernie would say you forgot one bad. Freedom good, government bad, 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 bad. I get the frustration. I understand. So this whole lead up is to the question someone asked me on email was, do I really want to keep filing motions when I know in advance that everything is going to be denied without explanation? So think about it. What is the point of going in with a Dick Noble or a Patricia Starr? What's the point of going into the court and still filing motions knowing they could go in to deny them? What's the point? Do you get anything out of it? At the trial level? No. But depending on the stakes, depending on what you're looking at, what the charges are, what they're looking to try to do to you, what they're trying to get from you, how much damage that they're trying to do to you, then it makes perfect sense to rack up and be able to document your due process violations. Because sometimes, like with Dick Noble or that Burke up in New Hampshire, they come fast and furious. You know, going into it, Dick Noble with no explanation whatsoever. Denied, 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 denied. But the prosecution says, Your Honor, I move sustained. In fact, we've all seen where, if you've been to traffic court, where the prosecutor doesn't even finish saying the objection. Then you finish. You don't even know what it is, and you don't even have an opportunity to respond. Sustained. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to. Yes, so what? So when I make an objection or you make an objection and the judge says denied before you even finish saying the word, it doesn't matter that the prosecution had nothing to offer. The judge is going to deny every single thing we put forth. So we put the motions in anyway because we're documenting the due process violations. It's just like saying, what is the point in objecting if he's going to deny every single one without explanation? What's the point? Because you have to preserve the issue for appeal. And if you don't say the magic word, this is not a sovereign citizen kind of thing. This is an actual magic word. You have to use the word objection. There are very few objections, only a handful, where it's so bad Yeah, objection, orange man bad. They're not going to listen anyway, so you might as well, right? Some objections are so bad that they deem them to be preserved for appeal, even if you don't catch it or you don't use the magic word objection. And one of those, off the top of my head, is if the judge starts offering testimony. Yes, objection. As much as you want to say that to the judge, or even just give them, that's the thing. Maybe they won't understand if you do one of those. You say "f you" and you give the Sicilian way of giving the finger. But that's why But the whole point is we need to preserve the issue for appeal, and that doesn't mean that they're going to actually get your issue right. So this is one thing that JBAC is going through, and it's a common thing. They just will not address your actual issue. They will never just quote back not never, but most of the time they won't quote back your issue and address it. See, it's kind of like what I get accused of, where the projection thing from a particular critic, where the critic will constantly use the same key. Marc doesn't respond to me. Marc didn't respond to me. So even when you have a video with an article going literally line by line and addressing every single argument in exhaustive detail, 2 videos, still, they didn't address it. It's like she's borrowing borrowing the whole straw man thing, or the screaming, "You're not addressing my argument," that from Lark and Rose. It's amazing, the similarity there. Straw man. You're not addressing my argument. Yes, I did. You just don't agree with me. So it's that same thing. Because again, if they have to address the argument that they admittedly don't have facts, or their foundational claim is an assumption, if they have to address that, it's very difficult for a judge to defend it. It's very obvious, and a very obvious due process error if the judge accepts as evidence an assumption. So we want to catalog, or we want to document, of course, each due process violation. Now, I'm not saying that we have to raise, or we should be raising, every single due process violation that a Dick Noble or an Ed Burke or a Patricia Starr commit. Okay? Because you don't want your brief being 50 pages long, and it doesn't need to be. Lawyers have it that long because they're getting paid by the word. We don't need to do that. What I would look at is I would be looking at my due process violations, and I want to look for the ones that on them by themselves disposes of the case. So if you have 5 issues, and each one disposes of the case and warrants reversal, it's easy for the appellate court to just say, well, since we reached this decision on this particular issue and it disposes of the case, we don't need to get into all the other issues. And that's a very common thing that happens. And that's probably where I got that tactic from. You read these cases and you see, oh, wow, there was like 7,000 other issues these lawyers raised, but they latched onto this one and they were able to dispose of the whole case. So one of those is, of course, a denial of effective cross-examination. If they deny you effective cross-examination, there's only really one circumstance where that is allowed. That's when it's cumulative. So all that means is that if they call 15 people to testify against you to the exact same thing, and you don't get to cross-examine effectively the last one, doesn't matter, because they called a witness that wasn't even necessary. Wasn't even, they don't need that. They don't need that to convict you. So if in our situations, we're only looking at a handful of cops, usually, or a tax agent. And so if the only tax agent isn't allowed to, you're not allowed to effectively cross-examine them, that warrants a reversal. So Brookhart versus Janus is just one of those cases. A denial of cross-examination without waiver would be a constitutional error of the first magnitude, and no amount of showing of prejudice would cure it, which means in lay terms, this is so bad, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if they can't show that the end result would have been different. This is so bad, they don't have to show that the trial would have ended different. End of discussion. Reversed. So that's things we look for. I would keep it to the five most serious due process violations. So you look at the fact that the judge, for example, is lying on behalf of the prosecution when it comes to the issue of subject matter and personal jurisdiction, and he carries the burden for them. I assure you I have jurisdiction. Well, did the prosecution's evidence say that, or are you saying that? It's just literally because he said so. And that's why in the video about the unsigned plea of guilty, where the judge falsifies the record on behalf of the prosecution, lying that we are refusing to plea when they enter a plea of not guilty, when you're trying to plead guilty if the prosecution has met their prima facie burden. Not a conditional plea. I know. I mean, it's so glad that they're not here. Not a conditional plea. I've covered that many times here on the show. The fact that in the document itself, we are totally waiving appeal. That's conditional, that you get to still appeal certain aspects. But if you waive appeal, period, not conditional. And they have to meet their prima facie burden anyway. So we also have arbitrary rulings by the judge. Due process requires that you have notice and opportunity to defend. And if the judge is making arbitrary rulings, you can't defend against that. Especially since, like I have written down here, what goes hand in hand with the arbitrary rulings, where every single thing you say is denied, denied, denied. Always what will be reported to me, and it's my personal experience, this too, when they are in that frame of mind, they're going to bully you. And the whole thing is bullying, but they're going to outright bully you. They're going to be threatening you. This is why you have people who are making legitimate, relevant objections, and they're being threatened that if they object, they're going to go to jail. We've even had recently where a judge and with the clerks are saying motions aren't even allowed in that court. I got to tell you, when a judge says motions are not even allowed in the court, you gotta just, my Sicilian gets up, and I can't sit still for such BS, because one of the first thing that I think of when they say something this stupid and so wrong is, oh, I understand. So if I want to sue the prosecutor and I don't want to deal with pretrial motions, I should file it in your court because motions aren't even allowed. So I guess unless they were going to just file a removal to federal court. Yeah, about fungal. So that's something that I'm going to follow up on. It would be interesting to see what would happen if you file a claim for damages against the judge that said that. Well, no motions allowed. And you quote him in the document, no motions allowed. And then when his lawyers come in, well, they file a motion. So if it was the judge wrong, can you actually file motions in this court? Oh, I know. Man with black robe, bad. Black robe lawyer, bad. We already know, Mark. We know lawyers are bad. We know judges are bad. Why are you talking about it? We know government's bad. Shouldn't have to talk about it. So those are some of the violations. Of course, the almost complete lack of evidence to show subject matter and personal jurisdiction are always going to be a big one. The denial of effective cross-examination and a denial of a fair trial, because through the entire process, the judge has absolutely refused to hold the prosecutor to their burden of proof. And so some may, well, but Mark, they had the cop testify that you didn't have a driver's license. Okay, but is that relevant to proving the laws apply? Because he's not just saying that I violated the law. He says the laws apply and I violated them. So his refusal to hold the prosecution to their full burden of proof is a denial of a fair trial. Obviously, if the prosecution is making foundational legal claims that they don't have to prove, oh, well, Mark, it's an assumption, okay? You just assume that, all right? Don't worry. Hey, don't worry about it, all right? It's all right. So we want to put those things in there. We want to catalog those. We want to know what they are, keep track of them. That's why I always recommend taking notes. You got to take notes. Yes, and I'm aware that there have been a handful of judges that say, no, you can't have any notes. Does anyone think for a second that judge would get away with that? Or I shouldn't say that. They're going to get away with everything. Because just like Orange Man bad, a judge could shoot somebody and not suffer for it, not be prosecuted. Anyway, let me just move on before I'm out of time here. And I'll probably just cut the show short, since I could not take calls, but we will be live Saturday and we'll have a lot more to get to. What is that? I'm going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein again. Are you guys going to start howling and screaming that, okay, pedophile bad, pedophile man bad? But this is something that there is still news about, but we are not hearing some very, very important things. It was reported back in September. Now, for those who aren't aware, Jeffrey Epstein, very wealthy, powerful man, very powerful connections, was convicted, and there was quite a bit of evidence, convicted it wasn't for sex trafficking, but he was convicted of a sex offense. It was pled down, thanks to Alexander Acosta, who was the Commerce Secretary under Trump, who gave Acosta a sweetheart no prosecution deal and included blanket immunity for unnamed co-conspirators, which we know could be Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz. Yeah, Alan, these allegations are completely false. But I had to massage Dershowitz, all right? Lying. And also Prince Andrew, Bill Gates has been implicated, although his name is just in there. He could have just been friends, so I want to make that clear. But what was reported back in September through discovery and raids on his house, the headline here is hundreds of people, not just a few dozen, hundreds of people could be implicated in Jeffrey Epstein court documents. Those names have not come out yet, and it's already late October. So if they know, they have to know, but maybe there's some court thing about disclosing that, but hundreds. But we haven't heard about any arrests. We haven't heard anything about any new investigation. I can understand the privacy, but from right now, almost 2 months have passed. I think it's 7 weeks. We don't know and have any new information regarding any of the hundreds of people that could be were implicated in the court documents in the Epstein case, which is still ongoing because the victims are suing the estate. So we'll see what happens. And remember, Alexander Acosta gave blanket absolute immunity to unnamed co-conspirators. And I'm not saying he violated the law, the federal law, when he failed and deliberately did not tell the victims of that. A federal judge said he broke the law. Has Alexander Acosta been held in contempt? Has anyone at the U.S. Attorney's Office been held in contempt or been held to answer for this? How easy would it be to get an order to show cause against Acosta and anybody involved, including Epstein's lawyers, the same firm that Bill Barr worked at? I know it's a pretty big international firm, one of the biggest, McKinney and Ellis. But still, that's quite a coincidence, right? But it would be so easy for the judge to have an order to show cause, hauling these people in and putting them under oath and asking, and not even under oath, just lying in court is still chargeable under Title 18, Section 1001. You don't have to be under oath for it to be a felony. But why aren't they? I know you're looking at this. Why aren't they being called in on an order to show cause to explain why they gave blanket immunity to unnamed co-conspirators? The fact that all these people are allowing the bad orange man to get away is a reason why. That's why I talk about it, because it's about getting rid the reasons why we shouldn't have a ruling class, because people like Trump and Epstein and Bush and Clinton get away with these crimes because they have a moral right to do what is immoral, and enough people still buy that crap. So just saying orange man bad, you're not even paying attention or getting the reasons why I'm talking about this stuff. What the hell does Jeffrey Epstein have to do with anarchy? What does that have to do with getting to a voluntary society? It undercuts the entire reason why I do this. It's grossly immoral, and they're pushing it in our face. Orange man bad. Why? Why does Orange man get to be so bad? He has a gosh darn platform to cause unimaginable horror and damage, all propped up by this notion that that they are a legitimate, moral, ethical organization, even when operating exactly how the phony Constitution lays out. That's why. It's not because I have a personal thing about Orange Man. I said just as much about Obama, but the thing is, I didn't have to hear Obama's name so often. I think the one thing that Trump said that was true this week was that he has the most promotion of any human. Probably, at least anybody alive today. So there's a reason why I talk about that. So there's a handful that don't. What can you do? What do you do? All right, I'm gonna wrap the show up here on that note. I will do everything that I can to make sure I get callers for Saturday, and you know, again, Saturday I have a more time, so we're not limited to just an hour like today. I think, did we hit an hour yet? Well, a little short of that. So again, I apologize. Call into the Saturday show, whoever was not able to call in today. So if you I do appreciate everyone tuning in. Decent numbers today. Thank you. Grazie. Hey. So, and we didn't have our resident troll, which is always nice. That's one thing that you guys, I really wish when they do make an appearance, just put them on ignore and just stick to issues and things that we're talking about. Important. Yeah, you guys come down on me about Orange Man bad, but you know, half a dozen of you or more engage a troll in the same, you know, mindless nonsense every time. So anyway, I'm glad that they weren't here. But dissent is welcome, and I prefer to do it in real time. I couldn't do it today, but no, we'll do it on Saturday if there is dissent. Again, I do appreciate the continued support of the show. If you'd like to help support the show, it's markstevens.sells.com. That's SELZ, markstevens.sells.com, and markstevens.net, where if you're being attacked by a bureaucrat, you can get scripts and templates and also of motions to dismiss and government indicted. So check that out. Again, I will be live on the Saturday show. So till then, salud.